The first rule said, remember, you are a diner. We laughed at that one. By midnight, it was the only rule keeping us alive. One, the whole thing started because Bailey Knox couldn't eat dinner without turning it into content. It was a Friday night in October, the kind of cold, wet evening that made our apartment windows sweat around the edges. I was sitting cross-legged on the couch with my laptop open, pretending to study for a behavioral science exam I had already postponed thinking about twice. Nolan Pierce had just come back from the gym. He was standing in front of the refrigerator with the door open, staring into it like enough concentration might make food appear. "We have eggs," I said. "We have 3 eggs. That qualifies as eggs. I need protein." "You just said we have eggs." Nolan looked over his shoulder. "I need more protein." From the other end of the couch, Bailey made an excited noise. Not a normal excited noise. The specific Bailey noise that meant she'd found something online that was about to become everyone else's problem. "Oh, we're going here." I didn't look up. "No. You don't even know where. I know your voice." She shoved her phone in front of my laptop. A video was playing. A girl in a red sweatshirt stood in front of a huge seafood buffet sign, holding a plate piled with crab legs. Text flashed across the screen. "Beat the buffet challenge. Eat your money's worth. Finish your balance. Get your meal free plus cash match." Bailey paused the video. "Tell me this isn't perfect." "It isn't perfect." Nolan closed the refrigerator. "How far?" 25 minutes. That was the moment I knew I'd lost. Nolan was already interested. Bailey saw it too. "Exactly. Thank you." I didn't say yes. "You asked how far. That isn't the same thing. For men, it basically is." Nolan gave her the finger. Bailey grinned and turned back to me. "Come on, Tess." "No, you haven't left the apartment all day." "I went to class. You came straight home. I like home." "You like avoiding spontaneous experiences because you think everything requires a risk assessment. That habit is going to save my life someday." Bailey stared at me. I stared back. Then Nolan laughed. "She's got you there." I should have stayed home. I've thought about that sentence more times than I can count. But Bailey was my best friend. Nolan had the judgment of a golden retriever whenever food or lifting weights was involved. And the idea of letting those two drive 25 minutes outside town to some discount seafood place they'd discovered on social media seemed irresponsible. So 40 minutes later, I was in the passenger seat of Nolan's truck. Bailey was in the back editing an Instagram story, and rain was sliding across the windshield as the campus lights disappeared behind us. 2 Harbor House seafood buffets sat beside an interstate exit between a gas station and a closed furniture outlet. It wasn't abandoned. That would have been easier. The parking lot was almost full. Minivans, pickup trucks, a church van, a couple of cars with university parking stickers. Through the restaurant windows, I could see families eating under warm yellow lights. Bailey leaned between the front seats. "See? Normal." I didn't say it wasn't. You were thinking it. I think a lot of things. That is your problem. Nolan parked. A giant blue sign above the entrance showed a cartoon lobster holding a fork. Underneath, Harbor House all-you-can-eat seafood, and on a temporary banner, "Beat the buffet, Friday and Saturday only." Everything looked cheap, commercial, and completely ordinary, except for the chef. He was standing beside the entrance. White chef's jacket, white apron, black pants, white rabbit mask. Not a cute rabbit mask. The face was narrow and expressionless, with 2 long ears and black holes where the eyes should have been. Bailey immediately pulled out her phone. "Oh my God." She walked toward him. "Can I get you in the video?" The chef didn't move. Bailey stood beside him and held up 2 fingers. Nothing. "Commitment to the bit," Nolan said. I watched the mask. For some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that there were eyes behind those black holes, watching Bailey. then watching me. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Inside, a teenage hostess smiled at us. 3 for the challenge? Bailey practically bounced. Yes. Awesome. You'll need to choose your tier. She handed us laminated menus. There were 3 boxes. Casual diner, $30. Hungry diner, $60. Bottomless diner, $100. Below them, finish your selected dining balance and receive a full refund plus an equal cash reward. Nolan whistled. So if I eat $60, you give me 60? That's right. And the meal's free? Correct. Bailey pointed at the $100 option. This one. Of course, I said. She smiled. Believe in me. I've seen you eat, that's why I'm worried. Nolan chose 60, I chose 30. The hostess took 3 electronic wristbands from beneath the counter. Mine displayed $30 Nolan's, $60 Bailey's, $100. She clipped them around our wrists. Your remaining balance will update automatically. I turned the laminated menu over. There was another heading. House rules. Bailey was already walking away. Wait, she sighed. Tessa, there are rules. It's a buffet. Then why does it need rules? Nolan leaned over my shoulder. I read them aloud. Remember, you are a diner. Bailey laughed. Good start. I kept reading. Remain in your assigned booth except during designated food service periods. Never consume raw seafood without a fountain drink. Do not waste food. Do not speak to the chef. Diners who finish their balance may leave. I flipped the card over again. That first one is weird. Bailey was already looking toward the buffet. Tess, please don't psychoanalyze the restaurant. The hostess smiled at me. Your server will explain everything else. What happens if we don't finish? For the first time, her smile changed. Not much, just enough that I noticed. We don't charge a penalty. What do you do? She tilted her head. Harbor House handles unfinished meals differently. Then she smiled again. Enjoy your dinner. 3. Our booth was near the center of the restaurant. High wooden partitions surrounded it on 3 sides. Once seated, I could barely see the tables around us. Bailey slid in first. Nolan sat across from her. I sat beside him. There was a circular burner built into the center of the table. A large pot sat on top of it, filled with dark red broth. Hot pot, Nolan said. Bailey rubbed her hands together. This place keeps getting better. I looked around for a server. There wasn't one. Actually, now that I thought about it, I hadn't seen any staff since leaving the front desk. The restaurant was crowded, but something about it felt understaffed. Then the music stopped. Every conversation seemed to fade with it. The lights dimmed. A soft chime sounded overhead. A woman's voice came through the speakers. Calm, pleasant, almost soothing. Good evening, diners. Bailey looked at me. I looked back. Round 1 will begin now. A small digital timer rose from the edge of our table. 30 o'clock. Nolan frowned. What the hell? The voice continued. For the first 10 minutes, diners may leave their assigned booths to collect food. After 10 minutes, all diners must remain in their assigned booths. Any diner outside an assigned booth will be considered available food. A few people laughed nervously. The voice continued. Do not speak to the chef. Your booth is safe. Do not consume cooked seafood. Food collected during this round must be consumed before time expires. Enjoy your meal. The timer began. 29:59, 29:58. Bailey stood. Well, that's dramatic. I grabbed her wrist. Did you hear the cooked seafood part? Yeah, this is a seafood buffet. So? So why is there a boiling pot on the table? Nolan stood. It's a theme. That's a very specific theme. Bailey pulled free. We have 10 minutes. You can solve the mystery after I get crab legs. She walked away. Nolan followed. I should have stayed in the booth. Instead, I went with them. 4. The buffet was wrong. Not obviously wrong, not at first. There were trays of oysters on ice, raw shrimp, scallops, clams, sushi, whole fish, crab, lobster tails, octopus, but no fried food, no baked fish, no fries, no chicken tenders. No macaroni and cheese, nothing you'd expect at a family buffet. Even the dessert station was empty. The drink machines worked. Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, Dr. Pepper. Bailey loaded 2 plates. Nolan took shrimp and tuna. I took less. We were halfway back when a man started shouting. He was maybe 45, wearing a navy suit with his tie loosened. A little boy stood behind him. "This is ridiculous." He was speaking to the rabbit chef. The chef stood beside a huge stock pot in the center of the buffet area. I had somehow missed him when we came in. The man jabbed a finger toward the food. "My kid doesn't eat raw fish." The chef didn't move. "I asked you a question." Nothing. People were watching now. The man stepped closer. "Are you deaf?" My stomach tightened. Rule 5. Do not speak to the chef. I started moving. "Guys." Bailey looked at me. "What?" "We need to go." The businessman grabbed the rabbit mask. For 1 second everything stopped. Then he pulled. The mask came away. Bailey screamed. There wasn't a face underneath. The chef's head was smooth and pale. No nose, no ears. 2 black eyes sat too far back along the sides of its skull. Where its face should have been was a circular mouth, a wet ring of flesh. Inside it were hundreds of tiny teeth. The businessman dropped the mask. The chef's neck stretched, not bent, stretched, like something pulling rubber. The mouth closed over the man's face. His scream became a muffled choking sound. Nolan froze. I grabbed his arm. "Move." People began screaming. Someone knocked over a tray. The little boy disappeared into the crowd. The chef lifted the man almost effortlessly, then dragged him toward the stock pot. Bailey backed away. "No!" "Booth," I said. "Tessa, now!" The restaurant exploded into chaos. Everyone ran toward the entrance. I followed for maybe 3 steps before realizing what I was doing. The entrance doors weren't opening. People were slamming against them. Someone pushed the emergency exit. Nothing. A woman held up her phone. "No signal." I checked mine. Nothing. Then the speaker chimed. "Food service period ending in 30 seconds. My blood went cold. The rule. After 10 minutes, all diners must remain in their assigned booths. I grabbed Nolan. "Where's Bailey?" He looked around. "I thought she was with you." She wasn't. 20 seconds. Rows of booths stretched across the restaurant. They all looked identical. Then, above the partitions, a hand appeared. Bailey. "Tessa!" We ran. 10. Shit. 9. Nolan nearly slipped. 8. We reached the aisle. 7. Bailey was waving. 6. "Here." 5. Nolan jumped over the bench. 4. I followed. 3. My knee slammed into the table. 2. Bailey pulled me down. 1. The lights went out. 5. For several seconds I heard nothing. Then screaming started outside our booth. Not one person, dozens. Something wet scraped across the floor. Bailey covered her mouth. Nolan was breathing too fast. "What is that?" I stood. The moment my head rose above the booth partition, sound crashed into me. People were running through the aisles. Behind them came black shapes. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Things the size of house cats, crawling on too many thin legs. They had slick bodies and mouths that opened sideways. One leaped onto a man's back. Others followed. He disappeared beneath them. I dropped into my seat. Silence. Complete silence. I stood again, screaming, sat. Silence. "The booth," I whispered. Nolan stared at me. "What?" "It really is safe." Bailey looked at her plates, then at me. "Tessa." "What?" "The timer." 14:37. Food collected during this round must be consumed before time expires. Nolan looked at the raw octopus on Bailey's plate. "No chance. We have to. We can't cook it. I know." The card said raw seafood. I grabbed the laminated rules. Rule 3. I read it twice, then again. Never consume raw seafood without a fountain drink. Nolan frowned. "So? It doesn't say don't eat raw seafood." Bailey understood first. "It says don't eat it without soda." I looked at the 6 cups she'd brought back. For once in my life, I wanted to hug her for taking too much. "Drink." Nolan stared at the octopus. "I hate this restaurant." "You can leave a review later." We ate. It was disgusting, but we ate, and after every few bites, we drank soda. At the booth to our left, 4 men had made a different decision. They dropped their seafood into the red broth, cooked it, ate it. One of them began coughing. His friends laughed. Then he stood. His eyes had turned completely black. His mouth opened. A red tongue slid out, longer, until it struck the partition across from him. I dropped back into my seat. "Don't cook anything." Bailey's face had gone pale. "What happened?" "I don't want to explain." Then a woman screamed from another booth. I looked. She was holding her stomach. Something was moving beneath her skin. Not one thing. Several. Her husband was trying to hold her down. Their daughter was crying. Raw seafood, no soda. Both choices had consequences. Unless you read carefully. The timer reached 0. The speakers chimed. Round 1 complete. My wristband changed. $22 Nolan's, $48 Bailey's, $74. Nobody celebrated. 6. Round 2 will begin in 60 seconds. The restaurant floor was different now. There was blood in the aisles, empty shoes, dropped phones. The things that had crawled from the stock pot were gone. The people who had cooked their seafood weren't. They wandered between booths, changed, waiting. The voice returned. Round 2 rules. Mustard repels altered diners. For the first 10 minutes, diners may enter another diner's booth without being considered food. Food consumed on behalf of another diner will reduce the assisting diner's balance. Food consumed for yourself will restore previously reduced balance. Previous safety rules remain in effect. Enjoy your meal. Nolan stared at me. What does that even mean? It means if you eat for me, your balance goes down. So we're supposed to help each other. I looked across the restaurant. People were slowly standing, watching one another. No. Bailey followed my gaze. Oh, they're telling us to make other people eat. A man 2 booths away was already smiling. That was the first time I noticed Derek Vaughn. He looked like the kind of guy who'd sell you something while making you feel stupid for not buying it. Mid-30s, button-down shirt. Expensive watch. Calm when everyone else was terrified. He gathered 4 people around him. Listen, his voice carried. We understand the rules now. People looked toward him. We cooperate. We survive. For a moment, I wanted to believe him. Then he pointed toward the condiment station. First thing we need is mustard. Everyone moved. Nolan was faster. He came back with 2 squeeze bottles. We smeared mustard on our sleeves and jackets. An altered diner approached. It smelled us. recoiled. Good. One rule worked. Maybe all of them did. Then someone touched my arm. I spun around. A man stood behind me, late 30s, terrified. Please. He pointed toward the family I'd seen earlier, the woman with the moving stomach. My wife. His name was Adam Calder. His wife was Erin. Their daughter was Lucy, 9 years old. Erin looked 20 years older than she had 10 minutes earlier. Her cheeks were hollow. Her stomach moved. Lucy held her hand. Mommy says something's inside her. I looked at the soda in my hand. Help me sit her up. Adam did. I poured Coke between Erin's lips. At first, nothing happened. Then she convulsed. Nolan stepped back. Oh no. Erin vomited. White worms spilled across the floor. Nolan made a sound I had never heard from another adult human being. He jumped onto the booth seat. Bailey stared at him. You can deadlift 400 pounds. They're worms. Despite everything, I laughed, just once. Maybe because if I didn't, I would have started crying. Adam looked at me. Thank you. Keep giving her soda. He nodded. Lucy looked up at me. Are we going home? I didn't know what to say, so I lied. Yes. 7. Derek's version of cooperation lasted 6 minutes. A young guy refused to eat something Derek handed him. Derek's smile disappeared. 2 men grabbed the guy. One held his arms. Derek pushed raw seafood into his mouth. The young man gagged. Derek checked his wristband. The number dropped. Nolan moved. I caught his sleeve. No. They're forcing him. I know. We can't just... There are 5 of them. I can take... No, you can't. His face changed. You don't know that. I know you're scared. That hurt him. I saw it immediately. He pulled his arm away. Right. Nolan. No, you're right. Will you just watch? I wanted to explain that fighting Derek wouldn't save the guy, that it might get Bailey killed, that survival wasn't a morality test, but the truth was uglier. I had made a calculation, them or us, and I had chosen us. Derek looked across the restaurant. Our eyes met. He smiled. He knew exactly what I'd done. That frightened me more than if he'd threatened us. 8. Round 2 ended. Round 3 began. The announcement was shorter. Complete your remaining dining balance. Do not speak to servers. Never refuse a server's request. Do not steal another diner's wristband. Previous rules remain in effect. We ran to the buffet. Every tray was empty. Every tank. Every refrigerator. Nothing. Bailey stared. You've got to be kidding. Nolan looked at his wrist. $31. Mine, $16. Bailey, $52. How do we finish? Nolan asked. Nobody answered. Then a scream came from the other side of the restaurant. Derek's group had already figured it out. If there was no food, they would make some. We went back to our booth. Bailey sat very still. 5 minutes passed. Then she looked at Nolan's arm. What? She didn't answer. Bailey? She lunged. Her teeth sank into his forearm. Nolan screamed and shoved her away. She hit the partition. For a second, her eyes looked wrong. Hungry. Not scared. Hungry. Then Bailey blinked. She saw blood on Nolan's arm. Her face collapsed. Oh my God. Nolan held his arm. What the hell, Bailey? I don't know. You bit me. I know, she began crying. I was just so hungry. I knelt in front of her. Look at me, she did. Do you know who I am? Tessa. Him? Nolan. Where are we? Harbor House. Good. Still Bailey. She wiped her mouth. If I do that again, she looked at Nolan. Don't ask me what's wrong. Nolan stared. Bailey, stop me. She swallowed. However you have to. For the first time that night, nobody made a joke. 9. The timer showed 4 minutes. We needed food. I stood. Nolan grabbed me. No. There. 2 booths over. Plates. Leftovers. The diners inside were dead. You'll be outside the booth. Food period isn't over. You don't know what's in there. No. I looked at Bailey. But I know what's in here. She understood. I climbed over the partition. The smell hit me first. I didn't look at the bodies. I grabbed plates, threw shrimp toward Nolan, crab, oysters, anything. 2 minutes, he shouted. Something grabbed my ankle. I fell. One of the bodies moved. Its skin was gray and collapsed against its bones. Its fingers tightened around me. Mine, it whispered. Another body lifted its head. Mine. I kicked. More hands reached. Then someone grabbed my wrists. Adam. He was leaning over the neighboring booth. Come on! Nolan caught my jacket. Together they pulled. I fell back into our booth. Bailey immediately started eating. Nolan shoved food toward me. We ate. The timer reached 0. My wristband still said $7. Nolan, $12. Bailey, $18. We hadn't finished. The lights dimmed. Fog began crawling through the aisles. A server appeared beside our booth. I hadn't seen him approach. Black vest, white shirt. Expressionless face, he pointed at us. Come with me. Nolan looked at me. Rule. Never refuse a server's request. We stood. 10. The server led us to the center of the restaurant. 2 enormous metal vats sat beneath industrial lights. The rabbit chef stood between them, mask back on. The left vat smelled incredible. Butter, garlic, lobster, crab, rich broth. After everything we'd eaten, the smell made my knees weak. The right vat smelled like something washed onto a beach after 3 days in the sun. Gray fish floated in cloudy water, dead shrimp, rotten seaweed. Bailey stepped toward the left. The server spoke. Choose where you'd like to be prepared. I stopped. Prepared. Nolan didn't notice. Bailey didn't notice. Across from us, Derek's group arrived. Derek looked into the left pot, then the right. He laughed. This one's easy. He climbed the ladder toward the good pot. I grabbed Bailey. No. She fought me. Tessa, I'm starving. I know. Then let go. No. Derek looked down at us. You've survived this long by overthinking everything. He smiled. Sometimes the obvious answer is obvious for a reason. He jumped into the fragrant broth. His people followed. Nothing happened. They laughed. Bailey stared at me. See? The rabbit chef turned its head toward us. Slowly. Nolan's voice shook. Tess. I looked at the vats, at the server, at the chef, at my wristband, at the rule I'd thought was stupid. Remember, you are a diner, not food, not an ingredient, not something being prepared. A diner. I pointed right. That one! Nolan looked at the rotten vat. You cannot be serious. Right pot. That smells like roadkill. Exactly. The rabbit chef took 1 step toward us. Nolan swore. Bailey was crying now. Tessa, please. I took her hand. Trust me. She did. That mattered. We climbed and jumped into the rotten vat. 11. I won't describe the taste. There are experiences the human brain should be allowed to bury. We ate because the wristbands demanded it. Nolan vomited twice and had to start again. I cried while chewing. Bailey eventually stopped looking disgusted. That scared me. She picked up a dead fish, bit into it, then looked at us. This isn't that bad. Nolan and I stared at her. What? Neither of us answered. One by one, our wristbands reached $0. The speakers chimed, "Congratulations, diners. You have completed your dining balance." Bailey laughed weakly. "We did it." Then the voice continued, "You are now Harbor House VIPs. Please prepare for the final tasting." Nobody moved. Nolan whispered, "You have got to be kidding me." 12. The servers separated us. I was taken through a hallway behind the restaurant. Small sliding doors lined both walls. A server opened one and pushed me inside. The room was barely bigger than a bathtub. There was a shallow pool in the floor. Shelves held bottles of soda. Another rack held bizarre garments made from seaweed, crab shells, shrimp, lettuce, and strips of raw fish. A card hung from the wall. Final tasting rules. Follow all server instructions. Use available ingredients to improve your presentation. Fountain drinks improve flavor. Never refuse the customer. Diners not selected will be eliminated. I read it twice. Selected, eliminated. It sounded obvious. Make yourself appealing. Get selected, win. That was exactly why I didn't trust it. Through the wall I heard Bailey. "Tessa, I'm here. I don't like this. Don't put anything on." "What?" "Don't dress up." "But the rules. They say use ingredients." Tess. Bailey. Remember the first rule. Silence. Then, "You are a diner." Yes. A deep vibration shook the room. The ceiling moved. At first I thought it was opening. Then I realized the entire ceiling was being lifted away. Light flooded down. I looked up and saw an eye, an enormous human eye, bigger than my entire room. It moved, focused. The world tilted inside my head. The restaurant wasn't a restaurant anymore, or maybe it never had been. From above, the little rooms looked like compartments, a serving tray, and we were inside them. A gigantic face leaned closer. The customer. A pair of chopsticks descended. Someone screamed. The chopsticks entered another compartment. They lifted Derek. He had decorated himself. Seaweed around his shoulders, crab shells across his chest, sauce on his clothes. He looked terrified. Then he remembered the rule. Be selected. He stopped struggling. He smiled down at us. "I told you." The customer sniffed him, smiled. Derek laughed. "I won." A plate appeared. Derek was placed on it. Thick sauce poured over his body. His smile disappeared. "No." The chopsticks lifted him again. "No, wait." He finally understood. "Wait!" The mouth opened. Derek disappeared inside. The jaw closed. A single crunch echoed over us. Then another. Then silence. I finally understood the game. There had never been a food competition. We were the food. 13. The chopsticks came for me. Pressure closed around my ribs. I couldn't breathe. The room dropped away beneath me. The customer lifted me toward its face. Its nostrils widened. It smelled me. Once. Twice. Its expression changed. Disgust. The chopsticks opened. I fell. Pain exploded through my hip when I hit the floor. But I was alive. The customer moved on. Nolan. Rejected. Bailey. The customer hesitated longer with her. My heart stopped. Then its face twisted. It dropped her too. Rotten pot. We smelled wrong. We tasted wrong. We hadn't been prepared. And suddenly every step of the restaurant made sense. The beautiful food. The sauces. The soda. The instructions. The challenge. It wasn't testing whether we could eat enough. It was preparing us. Slowly teaching us to stop thinking of ourselves as customers. To obey. To consume. To be washed. Seasoned. Presented. Selected. The first rule hadn't been stupid. It had been a warning. Remember, you are a diner, because the moment you forgot, you became dinner. 14. My door slammed open. The server glared at me. You were not selected. I didn't answer. You have been eliminated. My heart pounded. Then he pointed toward the hallway. Get out. Eliminated. I almost laughed. Winning meant being eaten. Losing meant leaving. Nolan emerged from another room. Then Bailey. I grabbed her. She hugged me so hard it hurt. Farther down the hallway, 3 more doors opened. Lucy, Adam, Erin. They had survived too. Or at least I thought they had. The server led us toward a glowing green sign. Exit. The hallway beyond it was narrow and dark. At the far end was white light. The server stopped. Walk straight. Nobody spoke. Then he added, when you reach the light, look back. Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. We walked. Lucy held Erin's hand. Adam walked beside them. Bailey held mine. Nolan was behind us. The light grew brighter. 20 feet. 10. 5. Then Erin stopped. Lucy? The little girl turned slightly. Erin knelt. Sweetheart? Her voice was gentle. Before you go through, look back at Mommy. Lucy smiled uncertainly. Adam touched her shoulder. It's okay. I stopped. Every instinct in me screamed. Lucy began turning. I grabbed her head. No! Erin stared at me. Tessa? Don't look back. Adam's expression hardened. She's our daughter. Then go with her. Neither moved. That was when I knew. I didn't know when it happened. Maybe the parasites, maybe the rounds. Maybe the people standing behind us had never been Adam and Erin at all. But they weren't crossing the light. Lucy, I said. Walk. She started crying. Mom? Erin smiled, too wide. Look at me, baby. Her voice changed. Something else spoke underneath it. Just once. Lucy tried to turn. I held her. Nolan grabbed Bailey as she instinctively looked toward the voices behind us. Forward! I screamed. We ran. The light swallowed us. 15. Sound came back first. Silverware. Children laughing. Music. A blender. Then smell. Fried shrimp. Garlic butter. French fries. Normal food. I opened my eyes. We were standing beside a swinging kitchen door. A teenage employee stared at us. Guys? I couldn't answer. You can't be back here. I turned. The hallway was gone. Just a kitchen. Cooks. Dishwashers. Stainless steel counters. No rabbit chef. No blood. No fog. Nolan looked at his phone. That's impossible. What? He showed me. Only 11 minutes had passed since we'd entered Harbor House. Bailey sat down on the floor. No. Lucy started crying. Then a woman screamed her name. Lucy! A woman ran across the dining room, early 30s, brown hair, terrified. Lucy stared at her. Mom? The woman dropped to her knees and pulled Lucy into her arms. Oh my God, where were you? Lucy looked over the woman's shoulder, at me. Then back at her. My mom? My blood went cold. The woman looked at us. I turned around for 2 minutes. She was gone. Lucy hugged her, then looked at me again. Thank you. I couldn't speak, because if that woman was Lucy's mother, I didn't know what had walked beside us through the hallway, and I didn't want to know. 16, we left without eating. Bailey complained about that 2 days later. That was the strangest part. She remembered driving there. She remembered the challenge. She remembered pieces. But not the worst parts. Nolan remembered more. I remembered everything. At first. Then details started disappearing. The exact sound of the announcement. Derek's face. The shape beneath the rabbit chef's mask? Sometimes I'd wake up knowing I dreamed about Harbor House but unable to remember the dream. We made one agreement. We would never go back. Bailey tried to joke about it. What if they bring back the $100 challenge? Nolan pointed at her. I will physically restrain you. She laughed. I didn't. 3 weeks later, I was lying in bed scrolling through videos when I saw Harbor House. A girl stood in the parking lot, barefoot, hair tangled, crying. The video had maybe 6,000 views. She kept pointing at the restaurant. My friends are still inside. People walked around her. Nobody listened. They're not serving seafood. She grabbed the person filming. Do you understand me? They're serving us. My hand went cold. Comments raced beneath the video. Fake. Drugs. Somebody call her family. Anything for views. Harbor House marketing getting wild. The girl turned toward the restaurant. There are parasites. She was sobbing. So many parasites. My friends didn't come out. I did what the rules said. I did everything. I almost scrolled away. Then I saw the banner. Harbor House Half-Price Seafood Weekend. And standing beside the entrance was a chef. White jacket, black pants, white rabbit mask, completely still. I sat up, zoomed in. The girl kept talking. The chef was behind her. 20 feet away, facing the parking lot. Then, in the final second of the video, its head turned. Not toward the girl, toward the phone, toward me. The video ended. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, the post was gone. So was the account. I called Nolan, then Bailey. Neither answered. I tried again. Nothing. My hands started shaking. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Bailey. One photo. No caption. It showed a laminated card lying on the kitchen counter in our apartment. I knew the card. I'd watched the hostess hand it to us. I'd watched the restaurant take everything else away. There was no possible way Bailey could have brought it home. On the card were 6 rules, but something had changed. There was now a 7th. The letters looked freshly printed. Returning diners do not need a reservation. I stared at it until the words blurred. Then another message arrived. This one wasn't from Bailey. No number, no contact name, just a photograph. Our apartment building, taken from across the street. Rain blurred the image. At first I couldn't see anything unusual. Then I looked beside the entrance. White jacket, black pants, long rabbit ears, standing beneath the streetlight, waiting. I remembered the first rule, the stupid rule, the one we'd laughed at. Remember, you are a diner. For weeks I'd thought it meant we'd survived because we remembered what side of the table we belonged on. That night, watching the rabbit chef stand outside my apartment, I finally understood the part I'd gotten wrong. The rule had never promised that diners were safe. It only told us what we were, and somewhere there was still a customer who was hungry.